Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. A mysterious warship appeared, and it changed the fate of the galaxy. The massive warship materialized without warning in the disputed Keras sector. One moment, empty space stretched between the twin nebula. The next, a sleek metal giant hung against the colorful backdrop. Its dark hull absorbed starlight rather than reflected it, making the ship look like a void cut into space itself. Only the occasional gleam along its sharp edges revealed its solid nature. Three major galactic powers immediately detected the anomaly. The ship appeared directly in the center of the Keras sector, a region claimed by humans, reptilians, and crystalline beings alike. Border sensors picked up energy readings that defied analysis, technology far beyond current capabilities. At Coalition Outpost 7, alarms blared through the corridors. Captain Hannah Park rushed to the command center, her uniform jacket half-buttoned. She had been resting after a long diplomatic session with Arcadian representatives when the call came. "Report," she ordered, taking her position at the central console. The view screen showed a distant object, magnification struggling to provide detail through the interference surrounding the vessel. "Unknown spacecraft appeared 20 minutes ago," said Officer Sun, his fingers moving rapidly across his console. "Size estimates put it at 3 kilometers long. Energy readings are off the charts." Hannah studied the readings herself. "Have we contacted Central Command?" "Yes, Captain. They've ordered us to investigate immediately." Hannah nodded. As the senior diplomat in the sector, first contact protocols fell to her. "Prepare the Peacemaker for launch. I want a small team, science, communications, and security." Within 30 minutes, the diplomatic vessel Peacemaker detached from the outpost. Lieutenant Kim, the science officer, sat beside Hannah in the cockpit. Security Officer Jun checked weapons systems, defensive only, as required by diplomatic protocols. Communications Officer Lee monitored channels, listening for any transmissions from the mysterious ship. "Approaching 10,000 kilometers, Kim reported. Her dark eyes stayed fixed on her scanner readings. "The energy field surrounding the vessel is unlike anything I've seen before. It's disrupting our sensors." "Can we get visual confirmation of any markings?" Hannah asked. Kim adjusted the forward cameras, zooming in on the hull. "There's something there." The view screen showed blurry symbols along the ship's side. Kim enhanced the image, revealing characters that made Hannah's heart skip. "Those are human symbols," she said. "Old Earth script, but definitely human." "But Captain," Kim said softly, "the design is nothing like our ships and the technology readings. This is centuries beyond our capabilities." Hannah studied the warship more carefully. Its lines were sleek but aggressive, clearly built for battle. The size alone made it a capital ship, something that could stand against an entire fleet. "Continue approach," she ordered. "Let's try to establish communication." Lee sent standard greeting messages on all frequencies. Coalition protocols, then universal mathematical sequences, then simple binary code. Nothing came back. As they drew closer, more details became visible. The ship bore scars of battle, sections of hull patched or damaged. And there was something else, something that made Kim gasp. "Captain, I'm detecting temporal distortions surrounding the hull. The space-time fabric around the ship is folded somehow." "Meaning it might have traveled through time," Kim said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jun looked up from his console. "A time machine, that's impossible." "So was faster than light travel before we achieved it," Hannah reminded him. "Let's keep an open mind." The Peacemaker continued its careful approach, now just 3,000 km from the mysterious vessel. Hannah ordered another attempt at communication. Suddenly, lights appeared along the warship's hull. What they had thought were weapon ports began to glow with blue energy. "Captain, the ship is powering up," Jun shouted. "Energy signatures matching weapon systems." "Defensive posture only," Hannah ordered. "No threatening moves." The mysterious ship's response came instantly. A targeting beam locked onto the Peacemaker, bathing it in pale light. Then a voice came through their communication system. Artificial, emotionless. "Proximity alert. Defense protocols activated. Identify or withdraw. Lee scrambled to respond. This is the Coalition vessel Peacemaker on a diplomatic mission. We seek peaceful contact. The targeting beam intensified. Multiple weapon sports now tracked their small vessel. Unknown Coalition classification. Temporal variance detected. Withdraw to safe distance. Hannah didn't hesitate. Full reverse now. The Peacemaker pulled away as energy built up in the mysterious ship's weapons. The targeting beam remained fixed on them until they passed 5,000 km. It recognized Coalition but called it unknown, Lee noted as they retreated, and it mentioned temporal variance. Supporting the time travel theory, Kim said. They returned to Outpost 7 at maximum speed. When they docked, they found the station at highest alert level. Commander Day met them at the airlock. Captain Park, the situation has escalated, he said grimly. All three powers have mobilized fleets toward the Kara sector. In the command center, they watched long-range scanners showing the movement of ships. The Arcadian Empire had dispatched 3 battle groups. The Suwani Dominion had activated their crystalline dreadnoughts, and the Coalition was sending reinforcements as well. They all want the ship, Hannah realized aloud. Its technology could shift the balance of power. Commander Day confirmed. Central Command wants your full report immediately. Hannah compiled everything they had learned. The human symbols, the advanced technology, the temporal readings. As she prepared to transmit, Officer Lee approached her station. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from multiple sources. The Arcadians are claiming salvage rights. The Suvani are demanding the ship withdraw from what they call their sovereign territory, and the Coalition. They want us to secure the vessel before anyone else can reach it. Hannah looked at the image of the mysterious warship on the main screen. Its appearance had transformed a disputed but peaceful sector into a potential flashpoint for interstellar war. Whatever this ship is, she said quietly, everyone wants it, and that makes it the most dangerous object in the galaxy right now. As if hearing her words, the mysterious vessel began to move for the first time. Its massive engines glowing with strange energy as it adjusted its position. It was no longer drifting. It was watching, waiting, and 3 battle fleets were racing toward it. Hannah sat alone in her office, studying the high-resolution scans of the mysterious warship. The station's advanced imaging systems had captured detailed views of the hull during their retreat. 3 days had passed since their encounter, and the tension in the sector had only grown worse. Fleet movements continued as all 3 powers positioned for possible conflict. She zoomed in on a section of the hull that had caught her attention. The symbols there were definitely human in origin, but of a style she hadn't seen before, ancient yet somehow also advanced. She cross-referenced them with the linguistic database. Computer analyzed these markings against historical human scripts. The computer processed for several moments. Partial mash found. Symbols contain elements of 22nd century Earth military code, but with unknown modifications. Hannah leaned forward. Military code? An idea formed in her mind. If the ship used modified military protocols, perhaps it would respond to similarly structured communications. She worked through the night, crafting a message based on the ancient code structure but updated with modern authentication patterns. When morning came, she presented her findings to Commander Duh. I believe I can establish basic communication with the vessel, she explained, but I need to get closer again. Commander D frowned. The situation has deteriorated. The Arcadian fleet will arrive in 18 hours, the Suwani not long after. All the more reason to try now while we still can. Commander reluctantly approved her mission. This time, the Peacemaker approached on a different vector, broadcasting Hannah's carefully crafted message. As they neared the 5,000-kilometer mark where they'd been warned off before, everyone tensed. The targeting beams didn't activate. Instead, a new signal emerged from the ship. Receiving response, Officer Lee announced. It's accepting our communication protocol. A mechanical voice filled the bridge. Coalition authentication patterns recognized. Temporal variance confirmed. Identify purpose. Hannah took a deep breath. This is Captain Hannah Park of the Coalition Diplomatic Corps. We seek peaceful contact and offer assistance. A pause followed. Then, this vessel is the THS Defiance. Temporal displacement detected. Current date does not match departure coordinates. Kim looked up from her console. THS, that's not a current designation. What does it stand for? Terran human ship, the voice replied. Military class. The crew exchanged glances. Earth was now called Terra in official documents, but the term Terran human hadn't been used in centuries. What is your current date? Hannah asked. Ship chronometers indicate year 2457. Kim gasped. That's over 300 years in the future. Hannah maintained her composure. We show the current year is 2138. Can you confirm your temporal displacement? Confirmed. Emergency temporal jump executed. Current location and date vary from intended coordinates. Hannah saw her opportunity. Your ship appears damaged. We offer assistance and safe harbor. Another long pause followed. Then the voice said, Limited access granted. Approach docking bay 3, maximum 4 personnel. The peacemaker cautiously approached the massive ship. A bay door larger than their entire vessel slowly opened, revealing a cavernous interior. They docked inside, the magnetic clamps securing their small craft to the floor. Hannah selected her team carefully, Kim for scientific analysis, Jun for security, and a medical officer named Dr. Jin. They wore environmental suits as a precaution. The ship's interior was dimly lit, emergency lighting casting long shadows. The air was breathable but cold. As they moved deeper into the vessel, they encountered the ship's physical interface, a holographic projection of a human figure. I am the Defiance's artificial intelligence system, it stated. You may call me Guardian. Most crew members remain in emergency cryostasis, ship systems operating at 47% capacity. What happened to your ship? Hannah asked. Battle damage sustained during engagement with Void Harbinger forces. Temporal jump executed as last resort. Guardian led them through corridors of technology beyond their understanding. They passed sealed chambers containing sleeping crew members. Hundreds of them, frozen in time. Our commander is partially awake, Guardian explained. Medical protocols initiated revival when your vessel was detected. The medical bay was more advanced than anything Dr. Jin had ever seen. On a treatment bed lay a man in his 50s, his body connected to various monitoring systems. Despite his weakened state, his presence commanded authority. Admiral Tejo, Guardian announced, ship commander. The Admiral's eyes fluttered open. They were sharp despite his physical weakness. He studied the 4 visitors carefully. 2138, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. So far back. Hannah stepped forward. Admiral, I'm Captain Park. We're here to help. He gestured weakly for her to come closer. When she did, he grasped her arm with surprising strength. We fled, he whispered, his eyes intense. The Void Harbingers were consuming everything. We had no choice but to attempt the temporal jump. Void Harbingers? Hannah asked. They come from beyond the galaxy, destroy everything. His grip tightened. They'll come here too, eventually. Dr. Jin moved forward. Admiral, you need rest. Your body is still adjusting to the revival process. But TJO wouldn't let go of Hannah. Listen to me. The Defiance is the last hope. We carried the plans, the technology to warn the past to prepare. His eyes closed as exhaustion overtook him. Dr. Jin checked his vitals. He's stable, just sleeping now. The temporal displacement seems to have affected his cellular structure. It's remarkable he's alive at all. While Dr. Jin monitored the Admiral, Kim received permission from Guardian to examine some of the ship systems. What she discovered left her speechless. Captain, this ship has technology we've only theorized about. The shielding alone could withstand direct hits from our most powerful weapons without even registering damage. And the weapon systems, they could destroy entire planets. Jun examined the ship's navigation systems. The FTL drive uses principles we haven't even discovered yet. At full capacity, this ship could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. As they returned to Outpost 7, Hannah knew this information would change everything. Sure enough, within hours of their report to Coalition Command, encrypted orders arrived. The Defiance was to be secured at all costs. But the Coalition wasn't the only power to reach this conclusion. The Arcadian fleet accelerated its approach. The Sway sent additional dreadnoughts. News of the ship's capabilities, exaggerated with each telling, spread throughout the galaxy. "Every species wants control of the Defiance now," Commander Day said during an emergency meeting. "And they'll go to war to get it." Hannah looked at the image of the massive warship on the view screen. "Then we need to make contact with Admiral Tejo again, because if what he says is true, this isn't just about a powerful ship. It's about a threat none of us are prepared for." Outside the station, the first Arcadian warships entered the system, their weapons primed. The Defiance remained silent, its presence alone changing the fate of the galaxy with each passing hour. Admiral Tejo sat upright in his medical bed aboard the Defiance. His strength returned slowly but steadily over the past week. The medical systems of the future warship worked miracles on his body, repairing cellular damage from the temporal jump. Captain Hannah Park sat across from him, recording their conversation as he revealed the truth about humanity's future. "The Void Harbingers don't simply conquer, they consume," Admiral Tejo explained, his voice now stronger than before. "They strip worlds of resources, assimilate technology, and leave nothing behind." Hannah tried to imagine such an enemy. Are they organic beings? Partly, they began as biological entities, but merged with machines over thousands of years. They exist now as a collective consciousness spread across millions of drone bodies. Each world they take makes them stronger. He activated a small projector beside his bed. Images appeared in the air between them, planets being systematically dismantled by swarms of dark ships. Their surfaces peeled away layer by layer. "This was New Terra, once our most prosperous colony," he said. 3 billion people lived there. The Harbingers took it in 6 days. Hannah watched in horror as the recording showed the beautiful blue-green world transformed into a barren husk. How do they spread? "They send advanced scouts first, small probes that hide and observe. Then come their harvesters to gather resources and establish forward bases. By the time anyone sees their main fleet, it's too late." Hannah sent all the information to Coalition Command. The response came quickly. They wanted to keep the Admiral warnings classified while they verify his claims. But Hannah argued successfully that all 3 major powers needed this information. "If the threat is real, we need everyone prepared," she insisted. Meanwhile, Coalition intelligence began investigating strange anomalies reported at the galaxy's outer rim. Unexplained power signatures, missing scout ships, and dead communication relays, all matching Admiral Tejo's descriptions of early Harbinger infiltration tactics. The Coalition called an emergency summit at Outpost 7. Representatives from all 3 powers arrived. Humans from the Coalition, the reptilian Arcadians with their scaled faces and vertical pupils, and the crystalline Suani whose bodies refracted light in beautiful patterns. The meeting room crackled with tension. Ambassador Kron of the Arcadian Empire spoke first, his tail twitching with agitation. "We demand full access to the Defiance and its technology," he hissed. "The balance of power has been disrupted by its arrival." The Suvani representative, Delegate Lumi, chimed in with a musical voice. "The vessel appeared in territory claimed by the Dominion. By right, it belongs to us." Coalition Admiral 1 remained calm. "The ship is of human design. It represents our future technology. We have primary claim." Hannah watched the arguments spiral into threats. She requested permission to speak and approached the central table. "While we argue, a threat greater than any of us have known approaches," she said. "Admiral Tejo's warnings have been partially confirmed by unusual activity at the galaxy's edge." She displayed the intelligence reports on the main screen. The representatives fell silent as they studied the evidence. "These patterns match known Harbinger tactics," Hannah continued. "The Defiance wasn't sent back just to warn us. It carries the technology we need to fight them." Ambassador Kron's tongue flicked out. Convenient that this human ship brings tales of doom that only humans can solve. We must unite against the common threat, Hana argued. History shows divided we will fall. That's exactly what happened in Admiral Tahoe's timeline. Delegate Lumi's crystalline form shifted colors. The Dominion has never aligned with the warm bloods before. Why start now based on an unproven threat? The debate continued for days. Outside the station, the three fleets grew larger as more ships arrived. The Defiance remained silent in its position, guarded by a small coalition force. Admiral Tahoe, now able to walk with assistance, attended the final day of negotiations. His presence silenced the room. "I watched the Void Harbingers destroy everything I ever loved," he said simply. "I watched them consume Earth itself. We developed the technology on the Defiance too late to save our timeline, but you have a chance." Ambassador Kron remained skeptical. "Words are easy, proof is harder." "What would convince you?" Admiral Tai asked. "Access to the ship's weapon systems," Kron replied immediately, "to verify your claims of their power." Admiral One objected. "Impossible, the weapons are too dangerous." "I accept," Admiral Tahoe interrupted. "A demonstration only, no transfer of technology." The agreement was made. Representatives from all three powers would observe a controlled demonstration of the Defiance's capabilities against an uninhabited moon in a nearby system. But the Arcadian Empire had other plans. The night before the scheduled demonstration, long-range sensors detected unusual movement in the Arcadian fleet. Hana was awakened by an emergency alert. "The Arcadians are powering weapons," Officer Lee reported as she rushed into the command center. "They've formed an attack pattern." Admiral One ordered immediate diplomatic contact. "Ambassador Kron, explain your fleet movements." The ambassador's face appeared on screen, his expression cold. "The Empire has decided to claim what technology we can while we can." Without further warning, 30 Arcadian warships broke formation and accelerated toward the Defiance. Their weapons fired, energy torpedoes streaking across space. "They're really attacking," Hana whispered in disbelief. On the view screen, the Defiance remained motionless as the attack approached. Then, seconds before impact, a shimmering field surrounded the future warship. The torpedoes hit this barrier and simply vanished, their energy absorbed completely. Admiral Tahoe watched from the station, his face grim. "Guardian will defend the ship automatically." The Defiance's response came without hesitation. Pinpoints of light appeared along its hull. What happened next stunned everyone watching. Precise beams of energy reached out from the Defiance, each striking the single Arcadian ship. No explosions, no fire. The targeted vessels simply stopped functioning. Their power cores shut down instantly by technology centuries beyond their own. 15 Arcadian ships drifted powerless in space within seconds. A second barrier struck the remaining attacking vessels. These beams cut through shields and armor like they didn't exist, slicing 5 more ships in half. Ambassador Kron watched in horror as half his fleet was neutralized in less than a minute, without the Defiance even moving from its position. "Stop the attack," he ordered desperately. "All ships withdraw." The surviving Arcadian vessels retreated in disarray. On the station, silence fell over the observers. What they had just witnessed wasn't just superior technology. It was like watching primitive spears thrown against modern tanks. Delegate Lumi's crystalline form had palled to almost white. Such power. Admiral One turned to Admiral Tahoe. "You could have destroyed them all." "The Defiance's AI is programmed for minimum necessary force," Tahoe replied. "Unlike the Harbingers who leave nothing alive." Hana looked around the room at the representatives of the 3 most powerful forces in the galaxy, now united in stunned silence. "Now do you understand?" she asked quietly. "This is what humanity will build in 300 years. Imagine what the Harbingers must be like if this ship fled from them." The demonstration of the Defiance's power changed everything. The balance of the galaxy had shifted in minutes, and for the first time, the 3 great powers began to seriously consider something they had never done before: working together. The attack by the Arcadian fleet and the Defiance's effortless response changed everything. The next morning, Ambassador Kron requested an emergency meeting. His scales had dulled with stress, and his usual arrogance was gone. "The Empire wishes to reconsider its position," he said, avoiding eye contact with the other representatives. Hana seized the opportunity. "I propose an emergency summit, not just the three major powers but all space-faring species in the sector. The threat we face affects everyone." Commander D provided the station's largest chamber for the summit. Within 2 days, representatives from 17 different species gathered. The room buzzed with nervous energy as beings who rarely met in peace sat together. Hannah stood at the central podium looking at the diverse assembly. Reptilians, crystalline entities, insectoids, gaseous beings contained in special suits, and fellow humans. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," she began. "What I'm about to share will challenge everything we believe about our place in the galaxy." She stepped aside for Admiral Tahoe. Despite still recovering, he stood tall in his future uniform. The crowd murmured as they noted the advanced materials and technology incorporated into his clothing. "I come from a time when this gathering would be impossible," he said, his voice strong, "because most of you no longer existed." He activated a holographic display showing historical records from his timeline. The images were brutal. Entire worlds reduced to barren rock, fleets of ships being torn apart, and civilizations falling one by one. "The Harbingers exploited our conflicts," he continued. "We fought each other while they consumed the outer worlds. By the time we realized the true threat, it was too late." The record showed coalition worlds falling, then Arcadian territories, then the Suveni systems. No species was spared. Each time a civilization fell, the Harbingers grew stronger, incorporating new technologies and resources. "They are not conquerors who seek to rule. They are consumers who leave nothing behind." An insectoid representative clicked mandibles nervously. "Why should we believe these records? They could be fabricated." Admiral Tahoe nodded. "A fair question. That's why I've authorized access to the Defiance's sensor logs of current activity at the galaxy's edge." The display shifted to real-time data collected by the future warship's advanced sensors. It showed anomalies that current technology couldn't detect. Strange energy signatures moving through uninhabited systems, distortions in space that matched the Admiral's descriptions of Harringer scout ships. "They are already here," gasped a small, furry representative from the outer colonies. "These readings match unexplained disappearances in our sector." Delegate Lumi's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "If these beings are as powerful as you claim, what hope do we have, even united?" Hannah stepped forward again. "The Defiance carries more than warnings. It brings solutions, technology that can be adapted to existing ships, defensive systems that can protect worlds." "And you expect us to believe humans will share this freely?" Ambassador Kron asked skeptically. Hana looked him directly in the eyes. "Yes, because we understand now what Admiral Tahoe's people learned too late. That survival isn't about who controls the most territory or who has the strongest fleet. It's about whether life itself continues in our galaxy." The chamber fell silent. Hannah continued, her voice rising with passion. "Our species have different histories, different biologies, different values, but we share one galaxy and one future, either together or not at all." The discussions lasted for days. Ancient enemies sat side by side, forced to consider cooperation. Treaties were drafted, resources were pledged. Space that had been disputed for centuries was now designated for joint defense systems. Admiral Tahoe worked with coalition engineers to begin the process of adapting the Defiance's technology. Scientists from multiple races joined the effort, each bringing unique perspectives. Suani crystalline technology proved surprisingly compatible with the Defiance's power systems. Arcadian weapon designs could be enhanced with future targeting algorithms. Even the smallest species contributed. The gaseous mirror designed atmospheric shields that could protect planetary populations.